Hi, welcome to my Thanksgiving survival guide. Now, survival guide, I'm not, let me just say it this way. We all love our families, but sometimes, our holidays don't always look like a Norman Rockwell painting or a Leave It to Beaver episode. We can have difficult family members, in-laws that can be have a totally different traditions and have a totally different mindset from us, outlaws in our family. And by that I mean, maybe with blended families you'll have people that are no longer part of your family, but because of the relationship to children or to your whomever, they're part of your Thanksgiving celebration. There are maybe people who drink too much, who are arguers and like to pick fights, etc. While we may love these family members and friends and extended family members, we don't always like their behaviors. So how do we survive this and not make our holidays so stressful? Well, let me give you a few thoughts. First of all, think about this. Does a person who's joyous and well-balanced, do they cause trouble? Do they make difficulty for other people? No. People who are joyous and balanced and deal with their issues and try to stay reasonably healthy physically, emotionally, spiritually, and mentally are not the ones who cause the problems. Just remember this. It's people who are hurting who usually hurt others. Why? Because a lot of times, rather than facing their hurts, they strike out. They bury the hurt because they don't want to have to deal with it. And then they strike out because that's what they do. They may not want to hurt others or be difficult, but because they haven't processed their hurts or received any counseling or worked through this or whatever they need to do to make themselves happy and well balanced, they don't know how to not hurt people. They just do it and they don't want to. They don't know how to do anything else. Again, because they haven't processed it. Now, what does this mean? That you excuse any bad behavior on their part? Of course not. That just because hurt people or people who are hurting may reach out and hurt others and maybe even try to hurt you, doesn't mean you have to put up with this nonsense. So what do? Well, you have some choices to make. Think about this. You have the choices to make. You can't control their bad behavior, but you can control your reaction and how you respond. So make some decisions. What is it that you can let go? Remember, this is maybe one day out of your life, or maybe it's, if you're visiting or they're visiting, okay, maybe it's 3 or 4 days out of your life. Can you let some of that stuff go? Obviously, if you were there with them for long periods of time, you might have to set some boundaries or just not be too close to them all the time. But in this one instance, can you let what can you let go? What are you willing just to overlook, step aside, get out of their way, and don't engage too much with them, and don't get in the proximity of their slings and arrows? Where is it that you will push back and not tolerate bad behavior? And where is it that you said, okay, that's it, I'm going to die on this hill? So know what your boundaries are. Know what you will let go of and what you won't let go of. But remember, I talked a few days ago about having different plan A, B, or C. For example, if you're traveling, especially if you're traveling by air or some other form of transportation other than your own vehicle, make sure that you either have a rental car on hand or that you've got the Uber app. So if you need to go somewhere else or get out of that situation, you can, that you're not going to be dependent on the offending person to drive you wherever they're going to take you, especially if there's excessive drinking involved. I know a lot of times when Tom and I go back and visit Illinois, rather than crowding my sister or any of our friends, we will often just get a local hotel. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't get along with my sister. We get along beautifully with my sister. But that does mean that sometimes it's just easier when there's so many of us not to deal with it. For example, we're spending Thanksgiving at home, but next week we're going to be in Illinois, for the purpose of my mom's memorial service. So not only are Tom and I going, but also Nancy and Carl are flying in from Ecuador, and Amanda Henry, my daughter Amanda, her husband Henry, and their daughter Aurelia are all going to be flying in for this memorial service. So do you think all of us are going to descend on my sister Roseanne's house and crowd into her home and totally make things, Aurelia is 4 years old. That's not, or almost 4. She's 3, all right? Okay, that's just not going to work very well. So Tom and I took a room, and then when we learned that Amanda and Henry and Aurelia were coming, we upgraded our room to because we were staying at a Residence Inn with a kitchen, a full stocked kitchen, etc. And we upgraded to a 2-bedroom suite. So we even have our own space in that room. So it's just a place for us to withdraw and not have quite so much togetherness. Again, we all get along just fine, but too much of a good thing can still be too much. So that's what we're doing. That's the plan. And then Nancy and Carl can stay with Roseanne and her husband Rod. But it's just going to make things either easier, and we're all going to have our own cars because we're all going to have different areas to go. And if Aurelia has certain needs and I think, okay, I'll just take her back to the hotel or whatever, we have a plan. And we have a lot of flexibility. So I recommend you do the same just to keep your sanity. And just remember why you're together. It's to give thanks and to celebrate your family and to express love and to have and to express joy. And if some people can't do that as well as others, just love and accept them anyway. Even if you don't have to accept their bad behavior, you can still love them and realize that sometimes we need to love them, even if it's from a distance and with boundaries. We can love them until they learn to love themselves and to get the help that they need to help them not be so difficult. So I hope you have a happy and joyous Thanksgiving. Remember why you're all together and realize you could engage in some games or whatever, or watch the parade or watch football or whatever, or have places where some people may want to watch football over here and engage in games over there, or what have you, to keep people occupied so they don't have time to necessarily cause problems. Anyway, I hope all of you have a joyous Thanksgiving tomorrow. And don't work too hard, and remember why you're all together. And this is Diana Papilli saying bye-bye. This is day 61 of 100 days of videos, and I'll be talking to you tomorrow. It may be brief and abbreviated tomorrow, but I will be talking to you. Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.